All righty. Peter Sarancha.
Who's that?
One of it's there's a few like real top beatboxers out there that are just moving the difficulty and artistry of beatboxing into the future.
Huh.
So I just follow all of those guys. And I thought that was usually they're just like showing off like crazy, just like coming up with the most crazy different thing. That was one where I really liked it because it's a little bit more like laid back, just kind of like a groove that kind of goes the whole time. It
Yeah.
was a way more like kind of chill than typical, but still of course unbelievably impressive.
Hmm.
Impressive. Impressive. Yes.
Impressive.
Yeah. Let's see.
So I wanted to say that that last talk has already paid some dividends.
Oh, really? What do you got? Anything to report, or just that's it?
Yeah. I I felt like there was definitely some times when I my instinct was I got to teach him grit,
Right.
and then I was like, no, it's okay. I don't
Right.
have to teach him right now. It's okay.
Yeah.
And and it just allowed me to, identify, right? Because that's such an important thing is to just be aware of
Yes.
these thoughts and impulses when they're happening, as
Yes,
opposed
exactly.
to just have them play the music and then you dance like a monkey.
Yep, exactly right.
So yeah, it felt good, and I don't know, I felt like that's freed me up a little bit, and I got, I just, it was very helpful to not only get all that out, but have some of that very constructive feedback that you gave.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I was able to apply it, and yeah,
Yeah, it helped
it
me that
was,
day too. I think I put that in the text. I don't remember right now exactly, but yeah, that very day it was like changed my uh approach or working model of uh of my son. So yeah, I had something similar happen too.
oh, that's awesome. Um, hold hold on one second. I'm outside right now, and Odin's off from school, and he just came over.
Yeah,
Give me
cool.
one sec.
Great, great.
What's up, buddy? You
Mm.
ready for lunch? Okay, mom's back at home right now. If you want to just go back there, you guys can go too. She's on a work call though, but you can go in there. I'll be back in like an hour. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay. Um, so so sorry. So you were saying that it helped you too?
Yeah, it was that day actually. I'm kind of blanking what it was right now. Uh yeah, I don't remember exactly what it was right now, but I remember because I remember I texted you. I was like, "Wow, yeah,
Yeah,
this is affecting me now too." Yeah, I don't remember the exact situation. But
no, I
yeah,
remember that
and I was
text.
making the joke to Rachel later on. She actually she's doing it right now. She hosts or like runs a program for moms with young kids called Mom Power, and it's all these like um attachment theory based like explorations of like how kids develop and what their behavior is like and how parents can like respond and stuff. And so I was making the joke later. I was like, "Yeah, you do mom power, and Josh and I have been doing dad power."
Yeah, right.
Because really, I mean, at an even maybe more fundamental level than where you and I are taking it, which is pretty advanced. Our culture does not like have a tradition of like dads talking about what it's like to be a parent and what's hard and what's easy and what that you just don't we
Yeah,
just
yeah.
don't do that in our culture. Like it's just not a thing. Like guys aren't supposed to talk about their feelings and shit like that.
I
So
know. I know.
so it's kind of a rare thing that we're doing anyway.
Yeah.
That then has that we're both then like reporting has an effect on us,
Hmm.
because we want to be good parents. I mean, most parents want to be good parents,
Right.
but then unless you get to talk about it in a somewhat vulnerable way, then it's a because it's a really difficult subject. It's not
Yep.
easy.
Yep.
So unless you get that chance, I mean, gosh, how are we? Right? I mean, that's why the cycles from our parents and stuff continue on because, like you're saying, we're not aware of it. The
Hmm.
karmic loop, turns,
Hmm.
and we don't aren't aware of what's going on. We're not.
Hmm.
It's not like real freedom of choice or freedom of will.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always say that guys are generally speaking kind of emotionally retarded.
Of course.
And I mean, literally, I mean, I'm part of it. I'm being, silly or,
Yeah.
but literally like retarded, delayed, slowed down, slowed development. And I remember since I was a little kid, it was as a guy, I mean, it was so much worse back then. You couldn't be open about certain feelings. And if you ever cried, that was going to be held against you.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember that, like that Sopranos episode where the like the big boss, the big mob boss, when he gets busted and he's in jail, and they allow him to get out for one day
Mm-hmm.
and for his daughter's wedding,
Mm.
and then he's at the wedding, and then like near the end of the wedding, it's not fully over, but it's almost over, and then the cops are like, all right, it's time to go. We're taking you back. And he's like, wait, just let me, whatever, say goodbye to my daughter or something. Let me kiss my daughter before you put the cuffs on. And they're like, no. And he's like, come on, let me just do it. And they're like, no. And and then he like breaks down crying.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of his like underlings see him crying. And
Mm.
once they see him cry, they're like, oh, fuck him. They're
Mm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
almost, or like in Game of Thrones when the Darthraki, that Jason
Mm-hmm.
Momoa guy
Yeah.
is the head of, and
Yeah.
then the Queen of Dragon who's married to him, her council says the Darthraki only follow strengths,
Right.
so if they
Right.
think he's weak, they'll just abandon him.
Yeah.
And that's really, and this is some of the things, and that's why I think it's important, whether it's me and you or me and that guy Chevis that I told you about, that I think it's important for guys that are like us that are kind of balanced, who have like a nice balance of masculine and feminine. Because I think part of the problem is it's like most of the feminized guys, they're all in on they're practically like a woman in that way, and in some ways it's great. In some ways they can be much more open and vulnerable with their emotions and feelings, especially their sadness. A guy, for a guy, when he gets vulnerable, like anger is more appropriate in the old school male psyche than sadness,
Mm-hmm.
because anger can appear like strength,
Yes.
and sadness will just be, exposing and truly vulnerable weakness, and that's not allowed in the male community. And I think it's, let's just say, it's a shame that there's so many group thinks and no real, in our modern culture, I don't really see much of a real enlightened, liberal, progressive, like genuine. There's a lot of things called liberal and progressive, but I would say they're the opposite. But in reality, real liberal, real progressive would seek to understand what has led a person to maybe some bad or negative behavior. And usually that can be done if it is within a certain racial or sex group, gender group identity, but not necessarily, but then not given to people outside of that.
Mm-hmm.
And really, empathy and compassion should be extended to everyone, even the people that we struggle, and I'd argue even not only even to, but especially to the people that we struggle to give it to.
Right.
And there's certain groups that if something is done, then there are these, and I think you should have a balance of the empathy, compassion with, like, I remember that, I don't know if you remember that Jordan Neely case.
No,
Uh,
remind me, please.
he was the guy, he was like this homeless guy in New York City that was like a Michael Jackson impersonator.
Okay.
Um, Actually, back in the day, I used to run into him on occasion. I didn't like know him, but whatever, just because I was playing music on the streets in the Washington Square Park a lot, and he would be there sometimes.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was a guy that, I mean, he had issues. He was, I think, homeless or semi-homeless, and he had certain whatever, like drug and psychological issues. He was African American. He and he ended up like going on a train and threatening violence and like intimidating and coercing, basically like threatening violence on lots of people in the subway car
Okay.
until and and then a few guys got up to protect the car, and then they like wrestled this guy to the ground, like a couple of guys, and one of the guys was white and like maybe a ex-military or ex-marine, and they like wrestled this guy down, and this guy had him in like a chokehold, and the guy ended up dying, and uh, and it became this thing. I would argue it's one of those things that kind of, I'd say it's good that it helped put a dagger into the uh, blind obedience and conformity to wokeism, because there was like this big protest movement that started to build up in this guy's favor, trying to claim that this was racist. But it wasn't. It was just that this guy was going crazy and threatening to kill people on the train.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm sure you remember back in the day from living in the city, sometimes that happens. You're on
Yep.
the subway and there's some,
Yeah.
whatever, crazy person on there who's
Of
just,
course.
right, and threatening, and you do your best to move away or whatever. But, it's, let's just say it's whatever. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And probably each one of us that's a decent person has an instinct to try to protect others, because there are lots of people on that train that are getting scared shitless.
Yeah.
And and uh and this became like a lot of people I know, like on Facebook, were posting these things about, how this was all about racism and white supremacy. But it's like, hey, like it was like a white guy and a black dude and someone else, that it wasn't just a white guy, but the white guy took the fall for it. So I think he was the one that did the chokehold. But I don't think he was trying to kill the guy. I think like when you got some guy like that and they're going crazy, it's, and that's part of the nuance of the difficulty of trying to be a protector, not a pig, not an abuse of power, but an attempt to protect people from a crazy person. And that doesn't mean that crazy person's a bad person. I more say judge the action more than the person.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just an interesting thing. I never like, I was not getting involved in the online debates and discussions, but um, but there were just a lot of people that were reflexively like becoming a reactionary and just saying this is all about racism. And I've been in the city, especially since COVID and George Floyd. I mean, things have calmed down a bit, but there was a little while where it was getting a little weird,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of there was clearly an uptick in, whether you want to call it racist or reverse racist violence, where whatever, even like, let's just say Dave Chappelle, you know, went out. I'll reference him.
Mm-hmm.
um, that he was like, man, like basically there was like a little period of time where there was like some attacks on Chinese or Asian people
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in the city.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, at least all the footage that I saw was mostly of African Americans attacking
Yeah.
or intimidating Asians. But the response to that from the whatever you want to the woke culture was, let's end white supremacy to protect the Asians. And it's like, why are you saying that? You know, it's like
Uh-huh.
that's not what's going on here. Like
Yeah.
you're just exhibiting your own racism, but it's presented as anti-racism. But this is conformist groupthink and confirmation bias. And you know, Dave Chappelle said, you know, man, I fell into a rabbit hole of watching all these videos of black people beat up Asian people, you
Mm.
know,
Uh-huh.
and but he can say it,
Of
you know,
course.
because he's black, you
Of
know,
course.
and uh, and so this guy Neely, uh, uh, I have a friend who was telling me a story that he was on the subway. Uh, I don't know. This must have been within months of this Jordan Neely case, or within a few months before he died or got killed or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and he told me about, and this guy's kind of like an effeminate guy, and he was on a subway, and that some guy, some crazy person, just started screaming at him. He was like on his phone listening to music, whatever, minding his own business, and then some like crazy dude just starts screaming at him and screaming like the F word at him, you know, calling him an FAG
Yeah.
and saying like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, F word, you know, I'm gonna kill you, F word, I'm gonna kill you,
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna fucking kill, and and he tried to ignore him for a while, but then the guy just kept on coming closer and closer and
Uh-huh.
screaming at him to the point where he couldn't ignore it, and he
Yeah.
had to take his headphones off, and like the whole train is watching this,
Right.
you know, but of course no one wants to get involved, and no
Sure.
one, and this guy was screaming at him and said, I'll kill you, F word, I'll kill you, and then to the point where he just got off he had to like the next stop, he got off the train to try to escape the guy, but the guy followed him off the train and then kept on screaming and threatening like, I will end your life, I will kill you, I don't care, I will go to jail, I will kill you, F word. He kept on going, and then the guy was like, looked around, there's like a whole crowd formed around them, you know, but of course no one's doing anything and no one's
Mm-hmm.
helping him.
Mm-hmm.
and then uh, he like took his he's like, he didn't know what to do, and he was trying to be like, just leave me alone, and eventually after a while the guy finally stopped and just left. But you know, he was like menaced by this guy, and this guy was like basically stalking him and menacing him, and and then when a few months go by, and then the Jordan Neely case comes out, and then he sees a picture and he goes, oh my god, that's the guy that was stalking me and trying to kill me.
Mm-hmm.
and I have this other friend who's like, this girl who's, she's great, and but she's like big into the woke thing, and but she's, oh, whatever, I really like her, she's great, and I told her this story, and because she's also whatever, bisexual or whatever, non-binary, and I told her this story, and it was like weird trying to watch her cognitive dissonance, because on one side she's like, no, it's about racism, like what happened, and I'm like, no, this wasn't about racism, like, and in fact, if you're really about protecting whatever people of color or LGBTQ people, which she's all about, it was like, does not compute. I'm like, this guy, you know, he had his problems, so I'm not saying he was a bad person, but this guy had a track record of doing this.
Mm-hmm.
and it was interesting because my other buddy was there when I was having this discussion with her, and I was trying to give her off ramps. It was like she fell into her own, like, in a way, her own Trump Iran trap,
Mm.
where it's like you want to give these people an off ramp because this girl is a great girl, and I'm like, I'm trying to give you off ramps here, and she couldn't take it. You know, she just couldn't. I was trying to, hey, this, two things can happen, and you got to struggle with this cognitive dissonance that it's unfortunate that this guy died. That's terrible, but this was a guy that was threatening to kill people, especially this one friend who I know, saying these really homophobic, like, going, that would have been a hate crime.
Sure. Sure.
And I'm just saying, it's interesting what the group think, the confirmation bias, and how it robs us of our critical thinking abilities. And I think it's important to just keep in mind that don't judge the person, judge the action.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of just collectively punishing everyone of one skin color or another, or one sexual orientation or another, how about we just try to have empathy and compassion for everyone, and not just the people that are similar to us or look like us or believe the same political opinions and beliefs that we do, which is really, how you overcome bigotry. Anything else is just bigotry. And to bring it back, sorry to circle back to the original point. Yes, guys, we're brought up to be so emotionally retarded, and no one wants to deal with that or care about that. They just want to be like men or whatever. And it's like, no, it's like you should actually have empathy for these guys that can't do this. Like, when I'm around guys that are like ultra macho, like all out, like no feminine balance.
Yeah.
As a guy who has a healthy balance of masculinity and femininity, I don't know. I can pick up on, like, I feel like the guys that are all in on the macho, like, I feel like homophobia is more a fear of being gay.
It is. I mean, that's researched.
Yeah. Like, not so much that you just hate gay people. It's more like your anger at gay people is that you're uncomfortable with some involuntary feelings.
Yes, exactly.
I feel that from guys sometimes, the ultra macho guys,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like I exude something that allows them to, you know, okay, maybe I can just don't tell any of my friends about this,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but and so I feel for these guys, and they're getting called names, and everyone thinks they're just full of hate, but they're not understanding that there's a thorn in the paw
Mm-hmm.
that, that leads to the lion having this attitude. And because there isn't much empathy or compassion for them, they're just dismissed as bad people, as opposed to people that have a thorn in their paw or have a developmentally incomplete upbringing. Yeah, I feel for that, and it's I like that, where the needs of the world and your talents collide is what your calling is. And I guess people are lucky if I guess I don't know, they're conformist enough to fall in line with what the zeitgeist and the spirit of the ages is, as opposed to people like, we're trying to, like you said, who's doing this for dads? Who's trying to help educate men about, like, their emotions in a way that isn't just going to be viewed as woke?
Mm-hmm.
Or, because that's the thing where I feel like people like you and me and Chevis can do, because we have a balance. We're not like all masculine, all feminine. We have a nice
Mm-hmm.
little mix.
Yeah.
We don't like hate men. Like, a lot of, I mean, I've told you, a lot of, especially from the LGBT community, that just in my limited experience, I've heard them say some of the most
Mm-hmm. Of course.
proudly bigoted things I've never heard
Yes.
anyone else say.
Yeah.
Like, anyone say these things, like like not even a joke. It's not even like a joke that's like playing on the tension of taboo. It's like these people really, really have been, and I don't think that they're bad people. I just think they got brainwashed into
Well, it's the
thinking,
thorn in the paw thing again.
yeah,
They had trauma. There
mm-hmm,
were some men or guys or whatever
uh-huh,
that were
yep,
terrible to them.
yep,
And then it's just defensively, we go, well, then all guys or all lizards or all
right,
Toyotas suck, you know,
mm-hmm,
and it's just so easy, like you're talking about, because of the thorn in the paw situation,
yep, exactly,
or whatever the opposite of rose-colored glasses are.
yeah, yeah,
And just everything seems terrible then, you know, once
mm-hmm,
you had something terrible happen or trauma or whatever, it's just like, yeah, the entire world sucks, or all women are like this, or all men are like this,
yeah,
or all Christians are like this, or all Muslims are like this, you know,
yeah,
it's just
yeah,
it just because it's like that mythology thing. We just want it to be a simple storyline. I don't want to have to get to know everybody.
right,
I don't
right,
want to have to like withhold my judgment until I actually like understand who they are and how their mind works in their past and stuff like that. I just want to do it
right,
now.
yeah. Because something I like to say is that sometimes the thing that would be the most immediately emotionally satisfying thing to do, sometimes that's the last fucking thing we should be doing at that moment. Because if
Mm-hmm.
we act on it, then later we'll be like, oh my God, what did I do?
Right.
You
Yes.
know,
Yep.
but it felt so right at that time. You were angry, you were pissed, and you just hit them, you
Mm-hmm.
struck out at them,
Yep.
and that, but then later, like, oh my God, what did I do?
Exactly.
But then there are people that are like, no, I'm proud I did that. I'm proud I hit them. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, and, those out to hunt monsters, watch out that you don't become monsters yourself,
Mm-hmm.
which I, you know, I see with Zionism how it's done to my people. And uh, I don't know if I sent you this little clip of Glenn Greenwald debating a Zionist with like a group of people around them judging whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the Zionist guy was like, saying the same old thing that Iran is the number one source of terrorism, and they have, you know, they've done all this terrorism to America. And then Glenn Greenwald is like, every single uh, Islamic terrorist attack that's happened to America on mainland America, every single one has been done by Sunni Muslim, not Shia Muslim, and because Iran Shia majority, and they're trying to like rewrite this history that basically Iran did everything, that everything was Iran. So Glenn Greenwald's just like, there wasn't one single attack from Shia Muslim from Iran on America's homeland, and the guy's like, the Zionist is like, I can't believe you are so ignorant. And then so Glenn Greenwald's like, name one single attack that Iran did on the American homeland. And he's like, they back Hamas, they back Hezbollah. And he's like, fine, but you're not answering my question. What is one single attack that they did on mainland America? Why should this be America's problem as opposed to, you want Israel to go do it? Then Israel can do that. Why does America have to go and fight it, do Israel's dirty work? And and the guy was just like shaking his head, like, how can how can you be so ignorant? And he's like, can you name me one single instance? And the guy couldn't name one single attack.
Mm-hmm.
And but that's the guy they marched out there to debate him. That's like the guy they chose. It wasn't some Joe Schmo. That guy can't even name one single one. But in that group think, that's what they believe because they've been. And my dad is the same way. He just says these things. Well, the Shia Muslims, they'll just kill anyone who's not one of them, and that's what their books say. Like, and I'm just saying, like, how this shit, like, turns people into the people out to hunt monsters become monsters
Right,
themselves.
right, right. Hmm.
And it's upsetting. It's upsetting because this shit is these people are making a lot of money doing this. They're getting paid, and so I guess it's like, yeah, I guess you just pay people enough and you get people to, or I don't know if you saw the monk debate that just happened recently between John Mearsheimer and Mike Pompeo and Victoria Nuland. It's like so much of their attack is just calling people names and making these faces, being
Hmm.
like, oh my God,
Hmm.
how can you be so ignorant?
Right.
And yeah, they all just believe it. I don't know, it's too bad.
Yes, exactly. It's too bad.
It's
Exactly.
really just too bad.
Too fucking bad.
Too
Hmm.
fucking bad. uh,
How about that mask guy?
right? So, all right. So tell me your thoughts and then I'll tell you mine.
Um, well, I know, well, look, Fox has already said, we're not a news organization. We are an entertainment like company. They've
What?
been caught
Mm-hmm.
before. It seems like, I mean, at least to my eyes, like the masked mafia members and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It seemed
Mm-hmm.
like it was the same
Mm-hmm.
person. Um, to my eyes, it seemed like, I mean, yes, it seemed like that shadow, that hard line shadow and stuff like that, that part down there by the neck looked like a mask. Okay.
Right. It did.
For sure. Right. I mean, it just
Mm-hmm.
see
Uh-huh.
now, um, would typically, well, okay, so maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. What it looked
Mm-hmm.
like to
Mm-hmm.
my eyes, though, it looked like AI upscaling of the video.
Mm-hmm.
It looked it's just it's something that my eyes are like sensitive to or something. It's like I don't know if you've ever seen like one of the things that it seemed like they did to me is they did a skin smoothing. They have
Mm-hmm.
like AI stuff now where it like gets rid of blemishes, it reduces wrinkles, and it does that like live. They
Mm-hmm.
use it now in movies. They use that like if you're gonna have a character who's older or younger in the
Mm-hmm.
movie, they don't do masks anymore. They do a AI upscaling of your face. And so
Mm-hmm.
like that a lot of the other stuff when I was looking at it that like poked out to me, his skin just looked amazing.
Yep.
And
Yep.
he it's like the coloring looked really the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so something that happens a lot of times with AI upscaling is that kind of weird stuff because it kind of has to make it there might have been a shadow there. Let's say there it wasn't a
Mm-hmm.
mask and we're
Mm-hmm.
looking at some kind of uh, AI. It's not whatever what's called like left behind artifacts. AI
Mm-hmm.
artifact. There could have been like a real hard shadow there, and you
Mm-hmm.
run that through AI, and it ends up making a real hard like line there when there actually wasn't. It was just that maybe there was a shadow or something there. It just looked like AI
Mm-hmm.
upscaling to me. That's all I can say. Now, would I be surprised if
Mm-hmm.
they use this? No, they're an entertainment organization. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and would it be like to your benefit to have this guy? He's like he's like a Hyatt military guy, a
Yep.
Navy SEAL. Would it
Uh-huh.
be to your benefit to kind of have like a um be able to put him on and have him say whatever you want anytime you want? Of course, like that would be
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Especially and look, you could it could be wherein that guy has signed some kind of contract. Like, yes, you can use my likeness, you can use my image to say whatever the hell you want as long as I say yes or as long as it's for the good of the American empire or some shit like that.
Right.
I don't
Right.
know. I could see it being like a really useful to be able to just like pull up different people and have them say whatever you want. And because
Yep.
it's entertainment, you don't have to actually like get them on the video or fly them to a studio or whatever the hell, you know what I mean? And they've approved it. I've approved this message kind of situation. Yeah, I could see that. And it seems start I think even with maybe even Biden, it seems
Hmm.
like, and then certainly with Trump, they're moving towards a virtual atmosphere, virtual environment,
Hmm.
AI either upscaled or AI generated, government officials,
Hmm.
just for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of
Hmm.
not even just like evil or terrible reasons. It could
Yeah,
just
yeah.
be for ease.
Yep,
If you want
yep,
to make it easy, or
yep. Convenient.
you could say, look, if we're gonna have the president do a press conference, we want to use AI background and stuff like that so that our enemies don't know where they are, and they can't be
Yep, yep.
targeted real time. I mean, you could come up
Hmm.
with a lot of reasons why it could be a good idea. But anyway, I'm
Hmm.
just kind of
Hmm.
circling back saying the same thing again. Yeah. And like in the core bet core
Yep.
bet report, you
Uh-huh.
know, it would kind of, if you're gonna go that far, like it showed the a really realistic mask, and it went all the way past the neck because you need to be able to put
Yep, yep.
clothes over it. I mean, it's just the
Uh-huh.
most, if it was a mask, it was an amazing, a redonkulously high quality mask.
Yep, yep,
But then they forgot that one fucking thing,
yep.
and then no
Hmm.
one saw it. And like, hold on, we got to button up your shirt one
Yeah, yeah.
more,
Right,
or
right.
God damn it, we forgot to attach it down the
Uh-huh.
bottom, or why did
Right,
we only make it where it stops like mid neck when it should like
right.
go all the way down? It just seemed like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
a bat, like a, which could, doesn't mean it didn't happen. People fuck up all the time, or they didn't notice something until it was too late, or something like that.
Hmm.
um so yeah, they're just seeing, I guess really what I'm saying, I don't know. If I had to bet, I think it was AI upscaling. I think they're doing that more and more and more. People people don't, it's like the Mar-a-Lago face thing. It's like people want to look young and
Hmm.
look the best, and you want to make
Hmm.
people look good on your TV show. So yeah, you use an AI upscaling feature to make their skin and blemishes
Hmm. Hmm.
make them look good, to make them look
Yeah,
better than they would normally. Of
right.
course that makes sense. Yeah, I mean that's what we used to use makeup for. I'm sure they still use tons of makeup
Yeah, yeah. And
on that. But if you can do that with just AI and whatever, cool. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
right, right. And I could see, because yeah, to me, whether or not it's a mask is interesting, but to me, that's, again, there's the small, medium, and high mind, right? The small mind thinks of the people, middle mind thinks of event, and the great mind thinks of ideas. So the people here are the guy, Fox News, and the audience. Uh, the event is whether or not this guy wore a mask or had an AI upscaling. But to me, the idea is
Mm,
more about what is like trial ballooning, or the
yeah.
potential for trial ballooning a whole bunch of different things of how you're going to message to people. And let's say you want to have you know, Donald Trump or Joe Biden give a speech, and or okay, do you remember when Biden got the vaccine, the COVID shot? Like they did a whole live thing where he got the shot, and 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 a lot of people, myself including, were like saying that wasn't the real shot. Like they wouldn't give him the actual shot live. And like for example, it was like number one, like the background was fake. It was like a stage, and so they're willing to obviously have a stage thing and set it up to make it look like it's in a house or in a room or something that it's not. So they're willing to, and that's typical of entertainment. But like you wouldn't go and have, because when they give you the shot, they tell you to wait around for whatever 15 minutes to half an hour or whatever, just in case something goes wrong. And so they wouldn't take that risk. They would more likely give him a fake shot of something on TV. But let's just say the idea is you want to start doing things like that more. So you can give a fake shot with something like that. But what if you want to have someone come on and give an interview, but you want it to be, everyone think it's Donald Trump or Joe Biden, but it's really someone else, an actor or someone or a body double or whatever, someone that you come like, just like if you wanted to have Christopher Walken give a talk, and you have these, whatever, all these actors that can do a great Christopher Walken impression. And so you just give that guy the mask, and he does a great Christopher Walken impression with the mask on. And then why would anyone doubt it? But you might want to do that for a whole bunch of reasons that we could speculate about why they might want to fake, just like the Netanyahu AI videos,
Mm-hmm.
and then people being like, oh, maybe they killed him, or maybe he got seriously injured, uh, and and there were people that were going all in and being like, oh, they killed Netanyahu. This is clear. It's clear that they killed Netanyahu, and it's like, well, let's not jump to that place just yet. But I think in this world of whatever conspiratorial analysis and speculating about what may or may not be happening, and you're trying to, give an analysis prematurely, because something just happened, and so there's a big audience and a demand for something happens, and then people want to know what all these different experts or thinkers, what's their take on it, like the mask thing. I went around and listened to a bunch of different people's takes on it. Uh, I sent you some of them. Like Breaking Points is like pretty much like, this is like a mask. This is clearly a mask. Uh, so so if you get people to respond quickly because there's a demand for a quick response, so the economics of being this infotainment, right? Where you're giving information, you're presenting as the news, but you're really, whether you're Fox or whether you're CNN or MSNBC, you're just entertainment. And that's the fine print, is that you're just entertainment. But people who, whatever, people who are all in on the Republicans think that Fox News is just the news, and people who are all in on the Democrats think that CNN and MSNBC is just the news, instead of just entertainment or infotainment. Uh, and almost everyone's giving their take on things prematurely before they really understand or have all the facts and all the information, because there's such a demand for it. And so I think, number one, there's a way to get a lot of those people to give a hot take that you can hold against them later, especially the ones who are going to be dissidents or skeptics of whatever narratives that power is trying to put forth. And so I could see a big time motive for wanting to discredit and have these major blemishes on a person's infotainment record, of like, oh, well, you're listening to this person said they were 100% sure that was a mask. Well, now it's been proven that it wasn't a mask. So take whatever this person says with a big grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see that. So I think that's at least one bird that they're going to kill with this stone, just having the ambiguity of it, not let alone separately from you might want to make it seem like this guy, whether it's Trump or Biden or this guy that was just on Fox News, you just put a mask on them and no one will be the wiser, except for the internet sleuths that are trying to dig into everything. And then you have like, at this point, it seems like anything that garners attention and distracts people like is worth its weight in gold now to the powers that be. They just want a zillion things out there to distract from the, like, whether it's Epstein, whether it's Iran war, whatever. They have all these things that anything that garners attention, they're so happy for that, you know? So I think like something like this mask story is something that they love that, you know, they love that now all these people that would be spending their time on Epstein or Iran are now focusing on this, you know, pretty unimportant story. Uh, and also it sows the seeds of like Corbett was talking about, like the post-truth reality, and people just giving up on the idea of the truth and just being like, you know what, what's the point? You know, just accept defeat, submit, submit, and just say we just can't know, we won't know, and part of that isn't just propaganda. Part of that's like one of the premises I feel like you and I really agree on is that we can't know anything. It's so hard to know anything for sure. You have to, you know, you shouldn't say 100% to anything or pretty much anything. You know, you should say 99.999%, but you just have to leave your, you know, that door open a crack for, I don't know, maybe there's something we don't know, or we've been presented something out of context, or later we're going to find out, you know, something we didn't know before that's going to change how we understand that. And yeah, I just see a lot of, and I think Corbett, you know, really did a pretty good job of trying to talk about some of these things that, whether it was a mask or not, is almost beside the point, you know, because we're not going to really know. Uh, and maybe we can get someone who's truly like an expert on this. Uh, and then maybe we'll be like, okay, we'll feel more confident that it is or isn't a mask. But they're trotting out these people who are, I'm an expert on lighting, and none of you understand how lighting works at a high class, you know, studio like the Fox News one. So you guys don't understand that this is just clearly shadow from the weird lighting.
Mm-hmm.
And so that shuts enough people up because they're like, okay, well, that's true. I don't know anything about studio lighting.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, if this person is pointing out like a bullet point presentation, very technical analysis of how clearly this is a lighting, you know, that shuts up you know, a
Yeah,
lot of
10% or something, right? Or whatever,
yeah, yeah,
20% or something. Yeah,
yeah.
of course.
Mm-hmm. So I see how they're killing so many birds with one stone with this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so whether it's a mask or not, and you know, as Corbett had on there, you know, the side by side comparison of that same guy doing another interview with very different lighting, and he looked very different, you know,
Absolutely.
like very different. It wasn't just
Yeah.
the lighting, though I'm
Yeah.
sure the lighting had a big role in why it looked so different. Like you could tell, like the skin was immaculate with the mask, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
But you could see in the other one, like the skin is clearly not immaculate.
No.
And yeah,
Right. Exactly.
yeah. And he had the same exact clothing on, except for maybe the undershirt. Um, I'm just saying, there's so many things that just make me go, about like having him dressed up the same exact way
Mm-hmm.
in the same exact clothes, but you take off that one little undershirt,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, I mean, I do think that there are people on a different higher point in the tower that are observing the experiment, you know, the greater human experiment. and saying, okay, well, X amount of percent are saying it's clearly only the lighting. X percent are saying it's clearly a mask. X percent are saying we don't know, and they're just trying to gauge, for something that's relatively unimportant, but they can apply that information they get from that on how they present in the future and what they have to tweak and improve, and what inspires skepticism and and how can you dissuade the skepticism, all these things that it's just all about how to influence people, and how to go about propaganda in a more sophisticated way. And I don't, did you check out the that Kim Iverson thing that I sent you where she had that like Ben Gavir? It was
Oh
about like,
yeah, I had read all about that,
okay,
so I didn't go nuts on it.
okay,
But I'll get it going here.
but it's pretty wild that the guy is. It's like, why is he saying that on camera?
Hmm.
Like, duh, of
Yeah,
course, like you're doing that and thinking that privately, but like you're going on camera and you're saying if 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 Trump tries to make a deal with Iran that we don't like, we won't allow the deal to happen.
hmm,
Like that's a wild, because Netanyahu's been going out there publicly and trying to be like, this is, look, Donald Trump's in charge. He's in charge. Like
yeah,
like like they're clearly trying to do damage control for MAGA and be like, look, we don't own Trump. Trump is his own man. And he's making his decisions. Of course, we try to, you know, we talk with him and we tell him what we think, but
yeah,
he's the boss.
yeah.
He's the head coach. We're the assistant coach. But Ben Gavir is going out there and be like, no, no, no. Like if we don't like it, we won't let it happen.
Hmm.
And it's like, why are you saying that on camera? And
Yeah,
that's the same guy that, got some backlash because he's posting these videos and bragging about the abuse of the flotilla activists and the abuse of them.
hmm,
And then even Netanyahu had to come out and be like, hey, why tried to do some damage control over that.
hmm.
Um, yeah, yeah. And that Meowlin guy is, it's, I don't know. I've become a little more skeptical of that Meowlin guy. I still include him in my informational diet, but
Hmm.
I don't know. He was saying like Jimmy Dore is like a Russian, like is working for the Russian, it's like Russian propaganda,
Yeah,
and I'm like, come on, and he's like, it's weird. It's I don't know. I don't know. It's just strange the way, and I guess maybe it's just there's a lot of people. Maybe there's a lot of monetary incentive for people to run cover for Israel. And I don't think it's only about Israel. Like I really don't think it's just about that, but
hmm,
it's such an overt, invisible part of the behind the scenes process. Uh, but I don't think it's the whole story. And but like the Meowin guy, I think he does really good research. But then he's like the whole Swiss thing. It's like, no, that's great, and like duh, Switzerland and all these people affiliated with that. But then it's and yeah, I like pushing back on conflating Zionism with Judaism.
sure.
You know, I appreciate that. Uh, but I don't know. Sometimes they do like it seems like they're doing too much cover for the Zionists in a way. And I don't think it's just like Zionists. I think that ultimately that's just a certain wing of the empire
Hmm.
that is tasked with a lot of fuckery that just like when you send pedophiles there or to the Vatican, and then they're given safe, and I guess America too.
Right. Yeah, no, that's yeah, yeah, they're getting a larger, they keep getting more and more space to play around in.
Yeah. Um,
Well, it's like, oh, you're morally bankrupt, so I can get you to do whatever I want. Okay, great.
yeah. Right. Like the whole, like, if you're gonna take, even though we know Lutnick is like a liar, when he was like, when he talks about that, that on TV, when he was like, and then Jeffrey Epstein was my neighbor, and then me and my wife were invited over, so we went there, and he had a table in the middle of a room, and said, I get special kind of massages on that.
Hmm.
And then me and my wife, when we left, we said, we are never, ever going to spend time with that man again. How creepy and disgusting,
Right.
Um,
So the next month we went to his island, and again we thought it was so creepy.
right? We thought it was so creepy that I brought my family.
Yeah, what a mistake I made.
What a mistake I made again. Yeah.
Do, do, do.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I kind of need to end it and I need to use
Okay.
the restroom. So it's kind of
Okay.
like
Okay.
perfect timing, basically.
Okay.
Um, I'll post it later on. Nice talking with you. It feels short just doing an
I
hour as
know.
opposed to
It
like
felt
two
so
and a half
short. Yeah.
hours, bro. I'm sorry.
Totally.
That's also awesome. Oh my God.
It
Yeah,
is. It is.
pump out 2 hours, no problem. Like, yeah.
Just 1 hour? It's like, what?
I know. I'm sorry. Bathroom calls, and then I had to be done by 1 anyway. So
Okay. Okay.
I'll talk to you next time. I'll have it posted up today.
Awesome, man.
Okay, talk to you later.
Later, Dogon.
Okay, later. Bye.
Bye.